I will be exploring the different perspectives on the same disaster through the use of storytelling and cinematography, comparing the two films Train to Busan by Ying Sang-ho in 2016 and Shaun of the Dead directed by Edgar Wright in 2004.
Now what? Oh, we gotta keep moving.
When people think of the word zombie, they would think of something like this. The definition of zombie is a corpse said to be revived by witchcraft, or the more popular and most referred definition is a reanimated corpse that has been turned into a creature that feeds on humans. While it has a set definition in place, directors can play with the ideas of how they were created or how they act and move. For example, in Night of the Living Dead, director George A. Romero explores this idea by having the zombies be able to make conscious decisions. While other works in films, the zombies will have no brain nor any way to process the stuff going on. Take this sequence from Shaun of the Dead for an example.
In for the head. Well, now what? I'll have to get more stuff. What's in the shed? I don't know, it's locked. Why is it locked? It's always been locked.
As you can see by this clip shown here, the zombies portrayed by Edgar Wright are more brain-dead and static compared to George A. Romero's interpretation. Continuing on with Shaun of the Dead, Edgar Wright still uses the same traditions that zombies are shown to be today, such as not being able to think, swarms, and supernatural abilities. These are used in most, if not all, horror zombie films made. Now let's talk about how zombie outbreaks can begin or occur. The most common of all possible ways, and the one I will be focusing on the most, is a virus. The said virus can start in many ways: a scientific mistake, a disease that gets too out of hand, or a parasite that escapes a lab. Think of any zombie or apocalypse movie or show that you've seen in the past decade. Got it? Good. Think about how it all began. Most likely because of a virus outbreak, right? While most films will do a news report cliche of telling the viewer of how it all began, Train to Busan did something different. While we are shown to a news broadcast and videos from online of the outbreak in the beginning, we are never actually told of how the outbreak began, but we later learned that the main character, Seok Woo, actually may have had some involvement in the start of the outbreak. See, while this is good to give us a sense of mystery of how it all began, some could argue that the said call was not needed. If the director wanted the cause of the virus to be given to us, then he should have just done that. Let's get back on how else filmmakers can take on the zombie subject and make it different and unique. While filmmakers can't change the core ideas of how they work, they can certainly work with how they move, fast against slow. Let's begin first with Shaun of the Dead. Edgar Wright chose to make his zombies more slow-moving, as stated earlier on, which is a choice that changes the whole dynamic of the movie. Don't just take my word for it, see it for yourself. Did you notice the pace that the zombie was moving in Edgar Wright's interpretation? Slow, right? Almost normal walking speed. Take this zombie for an example. Think about if it was moving at a more faster or supernatural speed. Shaun would most likely be dead, or at the very least would have been able to tell that there were zombies around him. Edgar Wright chose this because it best fit for what he was going for in Shaun of the Dead, which is a horror comedy. If the zombies were too fast moving, then the film would have been too serious and intense rather than comedic and fun. For reference, take this scene from Train to Busan. Notice how much different the scenes were pacing-wise and such? The zombies are quicker than the ones in Shaun of the Dead. It fits Ying Sang-ho's genre and how he wanted this film to be portrayed. There is really a sense of urgency when a horde of zombies are charging at you with full speed and full intent to kill. You compare this scene to parts in Shaun of the Dead where the zombies are in hordes and slowly walking towards the characters. Yes, there's a sense of urgency, but it doesn't compare to how much the characters would be fearful for their lives if the zombies were faster than them. Train to Busan is a disaster film, and it doesn't shy away from that. Almost everything that could go wrong will more than likely go wrong. With that being said, no one is safe. So, with having Train to Busan's zombies being faster, it leads to more unpredictability, which is definitely what you want in a film like this. Unpredictability is what helped Train to Busan be so good, and you really had no way of knowing if the characters you were rooting for would be safe. Another way the filmmaker can make the zombies look more fitted into the genre the director has chosen is the makeup and costume design. As shown in the pictures right now, the ones on the right are from Shaun of the Dead and the ones on the left are from Train to Busan. First, let's focus on the Shaun of the Dead makeup design. Most zombies in all zombie flicks look about the same. Grayed out skin, wounds or gashes on body, ripped or messed up clothing, blood around the mouth usually. What is being shown at the moment are zombies on set, and it shows how zombies are designed and made. The usual costume designs for zombies are shown in both films. It is just that in Train to Busan, they are more human looking at times, and so is Shaun of the Dead compared to something like The Walking Dead. This is also a result of the virus just beginning in both films as well, so they would look more human than undead. The next topic that allows filmmakers to make their zombie films unique and different is the use of sound and smell. In Train to Busan, the zombies use both sight and sound, but not smell to find their victims. In the clip right now, you will see that once they went under the tunnel in the train, the zombies had no sense of telling where their characters are. In Shaun of the Dead, the undead use both smell and sound, I believe, and that isn't including sight. Most shows or films dealing with zombies come across this. This allows filmmakers to choose what weaknesses and strengths the zombies will have without changing so much about them that they aren't even zombies anymore. There are more examples of this in the film World War Z, where the zombies in this film are very supernatural and are able to climb over gigantic walls with ease. We do get a short glimpse of something like this in Train to Busan. Lastly, the most common thing in zombie cinemas is the use of the iconic bite. The way the virus is usually transferred is through a bite from one of the undead. This is shown in most, if not all, of zombie apocalypse movies. This is including Shaun of the Dead and Train to Busan. The bite is one of the more prominent ideas of these types of films. The zombie genre is filled with hidden gems that are just waiting to be uncovered. This is mainly because the types of films allow filmmakers to make their own decisions on how the zombies would work, which leads to multiple different interpretations from different cultures.